This is a production of West Virginia Public Broadcasting.
As a chef, if people live in cities or don't have access to public lands or they can forage for things themselves, then you're giving them that flavor that they have never had and that they can't find. So we're making crepes with black locust blossoms. The taste kind of sweet, a little bit nutty, kind of like a pea. Dicing some strawberries just to get them folded into the ricotta for the filling. And then I sweeten it with a little bit of the maple syrup. And then the other thing that I like to put in the filling is a little bit of lemon zest, maybe about a teaspoon. Just got that mixed up. Just picking the flowers off the stems so that when we have our crepes ready, we can quickly fill with everything so we can enjoy the crepes while they're still warm. The batter mix that is in here is a combination of 2 eggs, 1 cup of flour, a half a cup of water, 3/4 of a cup of milk, and 3 tablespoons of butter, melted butter. And this was all mixed together in the blender. The mix for the crepes, let it sit at least a few hours in the fridge, if not overnight, because when you first mix it up, there's going to be a lot of bubbles in it. It's not going to form like a nice crepe if you leave those in. So just let it settle a little bit and kind of make sure it's forming a circle there. That's about good. You want to keep it nice and thin because it's not a pancake, it's a crepe. Almost ready to be flipped because you can tell that it's starting to set up nice on the bottom. So then with the filling, I like to take the whole crepe and I put a little bit up here in one of the corners. And this is, the ricotta with the strawberries and the maple syrup, a little bit of lemon zest, and then just pile your flowers in there. A little bit more filling. I would say this is about 2 tablespoons of filling. 1 more fold. You got that. And then we're going to do the same exact thing. A little bit of filling, a bunch of flowers, and then we'll go 1 time and half. And then right on top, a little bit more filling. And fold again. Some of this delicious local maple syrup. Got your beautiful strawberry garnish. Some extra flowers. And topped off with a little bit of sugar. It's a delicious strawberry ricotta black locust blossom crepe.
Most Latin names of plants have English equivalents. Sassafras does not, because it's a Native American word. It's a good identification marker if you see a tree with a photo stem, and there aren't very many. Well, there's a physician in Spain. His name was Dr. Nicholas Menardus. He was a physician that served wealthy people and royalty. So he had an excellent reputation as a physician. Now, back in those days, if you were a physician, you were also a botanist, because 95% of all the medicines was tied up in plants. Well, when he came to New Spain, he met Native Americans, and they had a plant that they showed him. They called it sassafras. He called it the universal remedy for all disorders. There was about a 250-year-old period in history where there were trips financed, these voyages financed to come to this new world for sassafras. This is the sassafras we'll dig a piece of the root from. And it doesn't take much, so it's not like we're going to hurt the tree. And there's a little piece of root right here. I'm going to take a little. Oh yeah, that smells great. You know right away because the taste is very distinctive, even on a little piece of root. The piece I'm going to cut could easily make 10 to 15 quarts of sassafras. you use the same piece of root over and over again. So I'm going to cut a piece there. There it is, and that will make a lot of tea. You'll be surprised. Well, here's our root. It's about 1.5 inches long, about 3/4 of an inch thick. The only thing we have to do to get it ready to boil is clean it off.
Container's all ready. You want to get
Yep.
out the pan?
I'll get the pan. Now we have lots of pans, but we have one specific pan that we use. It says right here, for sassafras. The reason we do that, we probably don't have to, but sassafras does stain.
It smells so good.
Okay, let's, well, we won't fill it all the way. That's plenty, I think. There's not a specific amount of water because what happens is that chemistry of that root is going to be so strong in there, we're going to have to water it down after we're finished boiling it. Take the sassafras liquid and pour it into the container. Sassafras tea. The only other thing that you might want to do is you have to taste it, because sometimes it's too strong. Even though we diluted it already, sometimes when you put it in a cup of tea, we'll use half sassafras and half water. And then Jan likes to sweeten hers with honey. I like to sweeten mine with a little bit of sweetener of some sort.
Delicious. Good batch.
Right out of the ground, right to the table. Very good stuff.
Milkweed pots for boiling or pan frying. I suggest taking them pretty young, less than 1 inch old. So these guys here are going to be perfect, bite-sized, not too bitter. They have the soft, fluffy spikes on them, and size is not always an indicator, because when they get older, they lose those soft spikes, and it gets like harder and harder ridges. So you could still eat that one, but it's going to be woody, and the silk inside is going to be more stringy, chewy. So the field test is the best. If you feel any hard ridges or hardness, then they're too late to pick. Sometimes you find big ones, but as long as they have those ridges, it's good to eat. So we're gonna pick. Making milkweed buds. You wanna pick them pretty much at this stage when they're fully formed but not open yet. And always remember, leave some for the butterflies. The monarchs will thank you. So take one. Try not to touch the white milky sap. That's toxic. Plop it in the bag. When you first have milkweed, try not to eat more than 3 pots at a time. See how you react. Some people get intestinal upset. When they're young, they look pretty much the same. You can't really see the difference in the stem because they're both developing. You normally don't see milkweed branching anywhere to develop more leaves, so only dogbane does that. Milkweed has a hollow stem and white sap. And dogbane has a similar hollow stem, but not as hollow. So unless you're really sure, I wouldn't do it. I'd rather mark the spot, go back there in fall and see how they look when they're older. What we're gonna do with those milkweed pods is we're throwing them in the water for 5 minutes, and they like to float, so I like to discourage that. They need to go in for the last minute. We're just gonna put them in buttermilk. They don't really need to marinate, just get wet, but. And they go for about 2-3 minutes or till brown. All right, these are pretty much ready. I just keep them on low. Some white wine. And some nutweed jelly. There you go. Some people use it as the seeds in the silk as cream cheese substitute. Very good.
Staghorn sumac, it makes a pleasant lemon-flavored tea. Now, the berries will stay all winter long if the birds don't get them. Birds absolutely love them. I have been successful in treating my own sore throat with it. It's rich in tannic acid. Tannic acid now can get kind of bitter if you get too much of it, but it's also got vitamin C in it. So what we're going to see today is we're going to pick the buds and we're going to heat the water. And then we're going to let it soak for no longer than 10 minutes. Now, the really important part, especially with the staghorn, is all those little hairs will really irritate your throat. You really want to filter it good, so I always filter mine at least twice. They are members of the cashew family, so that's actually a nut. And if you have an allergy to nuts, then that's probably not something you want to forage on. This does have some lookalikes, and the way you tell the difference, we're going to notice that this stem is kind of furry. The stems, the pith is real soft. Traditionally, they would cut the branches and use those to tap maple trees with to make that maple syrup, because they could just job out that soft pith and pound it into the tree. When we're ready to make the tea, we'll pull our berries out. And just kind of lightly brush them down into the coffee filter. And I'm doing this way because of those little hairs get in your throat. They will be uncomfortable, to say the least. I think that'll do it. So I just get a handful, give or take. So I've got it all twisted up into a little package here. And then I take a bread tie and make kind of a tea bag type deal out of it. And just let it steep for about 10 minutes, just like any other tea. All right. And it's been about 10 minutes. I'm actually satisfied with the color on that. It's pink, but it's not like dark. When it starts getting dark on you, that's when you're starting to get your astringent, bitter taste. I think that in our modern world, it's important for us to get back to these roots and get back to the experience of being human. You know, humans weren't meant to sit in a cubicle for 10, 12 hours a day. We weren't meant to sit, with an electronic device in our hand. You need to be able to get out and appreciate creation. And there you go.
The Chanterelles have like a super fruity, aromatic smell to them. They're so sweet smelling. Today we're gonna make some Chanterelle ice creams. I found over 10 different species in Pennsylvania. There's a lot of diversity in chanterelles, and they haven't been all classified yet. I mean, some of the chanterelles were only classified in like 2012, 2013. We have all these chanterelles that we found, and we're gonna make some beautiful ice cream. All I did was rinse these chanterelles in water from the sink, and I'm gonna go ahead and simmer them in some milk. Just put this on medium-low heat and let this simmer. And what's gonna happen is that the chanterelle essence, the smell, the aroma of the chanterelles is gonna infuse into this milk. All right, so you're gonna wanna make sure you get the full fat coconut milk can. Get that right in there. We're gonna add a little bit of this vanilla extract, and then we're gonna add some maple syrup for our sugar. All right, and then we're gonna blend this first by itself, and then we're gonna add our chanterelle extract mix. I'm gonna strain out some of the milk in there, and I'm gonna add just a little bit of chanterelles. It'll help give it that nice golden color. It's almost caramely a little bit. Got that coconut flavor in there. Chanterelle hits in the back. Perfect for a hot summer day.
Today I'm going to make an old-fashioned drink called switchel. It's also known as haymaker's punch, sitchel, swizzle, ginger punch. There's various names. First, what I do, I mince some fresh organic ginger, and I'll add that to a cup of pretty warm water. And I'll add like 4 tablespoons to the half gallon. And it really depends on your own liking, and let it steep a little bit, which will bring out the nutrients in the ginger. This has been commonly used clear back from the 1800s to rehydrate, especially the farmers when they were out in the hayfields working in the hot summer days. After about 5 to 10 minutes of letting it steep in the water, and I like to use spring mountain water, just because we have that and it's fresh and delicious and it comes from the earth. And to that, I'll add a 1/4 cup of raw organic apple cider vinegar. And then to that, we'll add some freshly squeezed lemon, which will be about another 1/4 cup. Today I'm going to be using raw local honey for my sweetener, and you can use pure maple syrup. This is from a friend of ours, which is also really good. And to this I'll add about a 1/4 cup, and really it's to your liking, any of this. It's not really an actual recipe that we use. Each time it can be a little bit different depending on the ingredients. But generally you'll have a tartness such as the apple cider vinegar or lemon or apple juice, cherry juice. And then you'll have the sweetener with water. And you can add other ingredients such as blueberries, elderberries. I also like to add staghorn sumac, which is also a tart, kind of like a lemony sumac-ade, but I sometimes like to add that as well. So you just make sure it's really well blended and incorporated. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is strain it into another jar after it's steeped a while. Another thing I like to do is add some freshly sliced lemon. And I'll even add a touch of lemon balm. Cheers.
If you look around you, there are food that you can cook. And today we're going to use one of them I call purslane. Pochalaka in Vietnamese is called bom mười giờ, Pochalaka. And they bloom at 10 o'clock exactly, and at 10 o'clock it's all open. And they close in the afternoon. So that's the flower, Pochalaka, 10 o'clock. So here's purslanes. You can find everywhere. They're so nutritious. You know, and the more you pick them, the more they come back. And they're very healthy to eat, so it's a good thing. And this is delicious. Okay, olive oil. Okay. But if you want more flavor, you can even put a few drops of soy sauce. If you want to, okay, you can do that. Okay, just few drops only. Okay. Olive oil and garlic, little black pepper. That's just the basic stuff. If you look around, there's few things that you cannot eat except poison ivy. But you can eat many things around.
I am from the Wise Woman tradition, and my goal is to help people nourish themselves through wild foods, weeds, learning how to cook simple, healthy meals so that we can get the micronutrients that we need from our food rather than from taking a pill. Oh, welcome to my weedy yard. And we're going to walk around and pick a few different things that we'll use in our salad today. And there's a lot growing right here. As you can see, I mean, a lot of people would weed this. I just leave them because I use them. So these pretty little guys here, this is known as purple dead nettle. And I'm just going to pinch the tops off of these. And right down here is some plantain. The plantain leaves, when they're young, make a nice salad green. This is ground ivy. Some people call it gill over the ground. Some people call it creeping Charlie. And it's a relatively pungent plant. And I'm going to pick a few of the leaves and a few of the flowers because the flowers are also quite pretty. And again, I'm just picking the tops off. Oh, here's some dandelions. Dandelions, I would have to say, is up there in my top 10. I can often find greens in the wintertime, and the plant is just so fabulous. You can use every part of it, and it's nutritious and it's medicinal. It's one of the most well-known plants for the liver, and so I eat a lot of dandelions. Here's a nice little patch of chickweed. This is Jerusalem artichokes. I eat the roots. And they're in the sunflower family, and as far as I'm concerned, they are one of the easiest wild foods to grow. They have a smoky, crispy texture. One of the things I like about violets is that even through the summer, the leaves never get bitter. One of the benefits I find of weeds is that they are free and effortless. You watch them grow, and then you harvest them when they're ready. So there's yarrow. So this is what I do. I just walk around in my yard when I'm ready for dinner and see what's growing. And the things that we've harvested today literally grow in everybody's yards. And it's easy to care for them and perpetuate them and have them become more of a growth in your yard rather than cutting them down and having lawn. Have weeds that you can eat. I can eat this every day.
Hi, my name is Sierra. And my name is Brent. And today we're going to be making some Appalachian snow cream. You want to get clean snow and obviously do not pick up any yellow snow. First thing you're going to need is 1 cup of sugar. Then you're going to pour it in. Then you're gonna mix it. While he's mixing it, we're going to add 1 cup of milk. Then we're gonna keep on mixing it. Now we're going to need 1 pinch of salt. We're going to need 4 tablespoons of pure vanilla extract. We're gonna have to mix it really good for it to taste good. Now we're gonna taste it. Oh, I can't wait. That's really good. It just tastes like vanilla ice cream, that's it. It's vanilla ice cream. Great job.
This has been a production of West Virginia Public Broadcasting.